Yeah, almost an Oryx. Imagine if that
the
was
Oryx
an
ace would have been great.
Oh.
They would have all been up there, hunting them down one by one as they push you, hoping to make the difference. Well, difference have to be made here, or has to be made here. MNM, 1-0 up against popular belief, are finding themselves in a good spot here. They're going to their favorite map. It will be Kafe. The statue does get removed. It's quite a normal start to a map, an operator ban phase. So, as the attack is the next one to be banned out, this time by the other side of things. This is going to be Ivana, Kate, Flores, alright, interesting one as well. Seem like they don't want to deal with those RC Retiros getting rid of their shields, for example.
I mean, they are a masterful tool in the right hands. We've seen those sort of Roteros, even today, be a great drive against them. It was a sort of problem. And I remember when Flores was first sort of introduced into the meta, and we had the great conversation with Alems from BDS, and he said that they believed at the time he was the most powerful operator in the game. He could have been more defining. He might still be. It's early doors. It's like the fact that in a couple of tournaments, Ossa is allowed to be played, but we haven't really seen much Ossa in those tournaments because sometimes you warm up into these things.
That's it, right? Strategies need to be designed around it. And very often these teams, they have their current strategies already, ready, scrimmed, prepped so often. And then a new operator comes into the mix. It just takes some time to slot them in, like what operator do you remove? How does this change your approach, for example? Because Ossa brings these bulletproof shields, and when you're playing your ranked games, it could be used as a bit of a boost, but it could also be used as a way to find a safe space to go for a plan. Suddenly positions that would normally not be as safe could be made plantable by using one of those talent shields. Smash the window as well, so there's cracks in it that no one can watch through, and suddenly that is just like a Black Mirror window that is set up.
Here we go, map 2, and if we want to have the barn burner that I was promised by Tim.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we've got to see this Kawana heat up, because I guess what we had there wasn't really Kawana being ready for the growth of MNM. And I know we had a bit of a conversation there on the desk from it, but I think that was a bit of a warm-up experience. They didn't try and cool the time out. They were sort of in cruise control. And at first, cruise control was absolutely smacking MNM around. There's no two ways about that. Those first 3 MNM attacks, they just couldn't find a handle. But then, as you said, after that team talk, it was an entirely different MNM. And Kawana just sort of stayed at the same pace and did not have a response for it. So here, between the two maps, I guess we're going to get the most true taste as we go instantly into the defense of Kawana. Have they stepped up with a little bit more awareness?
Big question there indeed. Is Grizzly looking to pre-fire some of these windows? Receiving some pressure as well. Gorgona sticks behind on the ground stairs, hoping to find someone. Needs to be careful, however, because as soon as the new balcony hatch gets dropped, find themselves in a bit of a pickle there, being able to be shot from the back and not really having an opportunity to rotate out straight away. As MNM going quick out here on the top other red hatch. I don't believe actually there was a defender that started rotating up there. Solotov needs to be careful. Instead, already fell back down. Gorgona with the camera holding those staircases, trying to figure out whether or not the push is coming downwards.
They can see the steady drone approach, and obviously has the C4 in pocket as well to see if they can strike back. The big opener there on the wall that leads into that long corridor around the back side of the site and coat room might prove to be, I guess, a bit of a danger, depending on what ground MNM is able to get a handle on. First on the top, and it's sometimes sort of cited as this raindrop way of taking this map, where you always generally start your approaches at the very, very tippy top on those hatches and steadily trickle your way down the nooks and crannies of the map itself. Here, Usus is baiting out some of the approach at the potential of a C4. You've got to be cautious. It's a lot of soft for a sledge to make his way through, and, well, it's a lot of C4s in pocket still.
Hound coming in there, taking out the Valkyrie camera on the side of MNM, using that IQ, of course, to get rid of these cameras. This would be quite helpful. User's afraid of the nitro cell. It's being pinged out, and it gets smashed as well, just to make sure it doesn't blow up. And with that, they continue to open up. They continue to displace these members of the defense, but only 60 seconds are left on the clock right now. They need to start and getting these openings on the side of MNM, because otherwise they're running into a 5v5 gunfight on the sides.
It's exceptionally brave to have a C4 pinged out and go in with the hammer rather than trying to shoot it out, but I can only assume that it was on a bit of territory that he couldn't quite get the angle and the shot off, so went with probably one of those boldest things. People at home, do not hammer explosives. I promise you it generally won't go the same way. Solotov, they're already in, or at least a dangerous position here, as Anarchic's the next to put some pressure onto themselves. They've been able to try and clear themselves some spot there on the chassis, and it's a bit of a fight, as I said. With that open, that stretch, it means it's territory they got to keep a handle on. The C4, well, it doesn't matter because the diffuser itself is going down. There's nobody instantly aware of this. There's a quick swing, there's the plant, and suddenly dropped. Are they going to go and try and defuse it instantly? There's a bit of a handle and a pressure from above. They're going for the retake, and suddenly Kawana have the man advantage. One above, and one with a chance to rotate under the stairs, but now they've decided, well, we don't need those stairs. We expect to swing up, and we have to have eyes on either side of the fireplace, because this verticality, this is the most important part of our play. One in the fireplace, and Anarchic's going to see if he can get the long arm. They've got to see if they can react to this. They don't know. He's just sticking it. They do know! MNM made the rash decision, but it turned out to be bold and brash and beautiful. And the first round is theirs.
The verticality was there. The call came in the end, and as Neo took down the man coming up from the red stairs, he instantly swapped back towards the diffuser and shut down the one who was going for that counter defuse. And that leaves us here with MNM in a round lead. Starting off strong on the attack, now headed towards the bar and cocktail lounge. Kawana lost their first, but it's not over yet. We're only round 1 in of the 12 potentially played. Or 15, if we go to overtime. Mind you, okay. That side note out of the way. We got to get it clear every now and then. But Bar Cocktail, up next. Up to that top floor we go. The Kate is making an appearance here to potentially play from that second floor. Use that electrocloth from there on to stop these walls from being opened up. Think of, for example, the red staircase hallway, but also Freezer towards the piano. Both of those could be tricked from below. And as MNM right now is a singular point up, they're looking to extend on that, of course.
To the top. And, well, it was definitely a surprise. I think for Kawana, as much as it was for anybody else, MNM able to sneak in and get the diffuser down, and you saw some flickers of awareness of the player there, but they just did not know that they've been able to already hop out of Freezer and get themselves planting there on the close corner. It was just this sudden moment of, okay, well, we got the planter, but we know that they've got this vertical control, and it is so deadly. In that sort of situation, you have to try and retake. You cannot get away with long-arming it with at least some distraction, but the distraction was dropped by the personal cover of MNM. Perfect lead in, and they're going to see if they can try and push it by example and put a little bit more destruction down on Kafe, which, if I'm going to pull stats, out of our recent EUL season, it is the only one primarily still defender favored. It's 68% defense success.
It is weird how the game has shifted over time, where, first of all, Kafe would have been a site where we did quite often, when it just got reintroduced, saw 6 or 5 defensive rounds that we won. Started to shift a little bit. Same goes for all the other maps. Villa, for example, no longer being defense-sided.
It's like 50, 51%. Yeah, but it's so small, it's so slight, and that's why Kafe sort of stands out at this moment as the only one that has a noticeable lean-in towards defenders having a slightly better time. The break is going to start here over the top. There's a zap on a camera, but it is sort of just a last hurrah as it's taken out by the grenade. Gives them less eyes, but he is a player on a bit of a roam that we have our perfect eyes on, and you're curious. As Anne pointed out on the desk, MNM's drone game was sometimes a little bit lackluster. Yep. And this could be cause for concern if Kawana are able to punish it.
Seems to now, though, that bench is not really feeling like it. Opens with the door, but rotates out. Is at least going to be making him aware of the fact that somebody's downstairs. Tyrant just waiting in the doorway there, just picks him up, and they know, okay, it's going to be clear. That's the entry as well for the side of MNM. And from now on, we can just continue pushing, not being afraid of any potential jump outs.
Well, Tyrant's now going to see if he can put some pressure here. There is a single player inside Laundry, just close on the left, that might have some awareness. Gorgona, the slow creep towards Zulu as these grenades are going to start to come in. There it is!
No way, Tyrant!
No way! Tyrant takes that kill. That was entirely Gorgona's. The call and the audio comes through. Tyrant is looking for one more. Rooney opens a punch hole, but the attention is paid onto the door itself. A bit of a rotation. Grizzly is able to actually get out of there because they realize, why are we throwing so much away here? Couldn't get the immediate revenge. And there's still so much else happening up top. Another one goes! Uses from the top rope with one more for his name. Tyrant is still doing bits below, but Sloth finally finds something, but it's not enough. MNM, they find their second round.
What a round that was. Tyrant especially picks up the first, understandable. The new one was below. He just holds the rotation and knows that he gets that one safely. But as soon as he cooks that grenade, he was literally about to release it to pick up the kill and the player up on the cocktail balcony. He swaps back to the ARX. He picks up the kill as Gorgona walks in and continues like it's business as usual. He was not allowed to pick that one up. He was not allowed to get that kill, yet he did. And MNM, they find themselves up 2-0 now, looking to continue their current trend. And as the Valkyrie is being brought back, the IQ still comes in at MNM's side. They knew they didn't have to pen it. They know they bring the IQ. They know how to play around it. And as a result, the Valkyrie does not really seem to hurt MNM that much. You have it again in the replay. Gorgona about to sneak around the corner and the grenade just didn't get released. And Tyrant heard something, flicked to it, and got the kill. Impressive play.
MNM, they've still came into this quite hot and spicy, and we've seen two different takes. The thing is about the last showdown, it's one of those statistics that I wanted to see how it evolved and the day goes on, and it's still very early in the day, but I may as well point attention to it now, is the plants, and how that battle between the two teams. MNM only pulled off 2 plants in the showdown they had yesterday, and I believe that is their first of today. They're not really focusing themselves onto the objective, but to be fair, you know, we had, I believe it was 6, or 7 even, in the pockets of Kawana in the showdown yesterday. I'm wondering if this is going to turn into something where Kawana start to try and pull back from the engagement, because that can scream 2 things. It doesn't necessarily mean MNM aren't playing the objective, but what it often means is that Kawana are setting themselves up as opponents and proponents earlier than the fights of the objective itself.
Yeah, and if you win those out, there's of course not going to be, oh, that's a phone that's being called out. They know one is inside there now. You know, not really expecting that. As soon as you press that set button, was like, oh, that's a player. Be aware of it as he goes aggressive right now. Just misses the head there of the player that went prone head first. Sloth escaping with his life right there, I think you can, it's fair to say. Right now, MNM continues to open up and continues to draw now. Those barricades do get ripped off. Jump outs and the aggression are not really being brought that much yet from Kawana. They're giving away tips that they might, but they didn't do it so far. The Sniper that gets tossed out lends a kill. Not quite sure if they weren't ready for it, but that's a diffuser dropped as well. Nello removed from the board. It's a heart breacher gone, and I believe there's no heart breach gadgets available, which make it a little bit harder to attack this site.
It was a great idea with the C4 there, because you're putting it into an engagement where you know they're probably going to try and swing into you, and okay, you might lose your life doing it, but if you can pull off one in terms of the fight, they're not going to be able to shoot it out from the door. There's Solotov spraying through the wall, getting one, looks for the second over the hefty machinery in the middle of the room, but knows they don't have to explicitly push it so deep so far. Pops the camera and tries to then go back into the player, but there is no reveal. Again, this is Kawana sort of not handing so much over to them. Hey, look at that on the new Bauk, hiding in a corner that's sometimes called Demo. But this time it's Sloth that strikes through, takes care of Solotov and goes for a bit of a rotation back towards a semblance of safety, with some more pings coming through from MNM.
Lack of information coming through, but the grenade instantly manages to find a trade. A 3v3 is still going on as the Goyo shield gets burned. Instantly rotation coming through as well, but they know there's going to be a Banshee. That way in is thus close. They do not want to give away their position, and, well, they create another one. However, still heavy presence up onto that top floor as Tyrant just strikes him from below. The snow door gets opened up and he somehow manages to find a way right next to the side. As the barricades does get opened up, it is now going to be a matter of verticality. As I believe that is the drop on Neo. Yes, indeed, it will be. It's the diffuser that is being brought into the side. Tyrant in a position where he could go for the cover. Neo going quite deep, loses his life to the shotgun there. Tyrant, however, finds a response and manages to get the diffuser. Goes for the plant right now. 13 seconds. The verticality needs to be there, but it doesn't seem to be in place as Gorgona opens up and finds the diffuser. However, with 7 seconds left, uses now for the plant, but he's being pushed from the exact same staircase. No, he's not actually. Gorgona's right above. He's not going to be able to find it. He drops the hatch, goes for the rotate. That's going to be the big question. No, it's going to be the door, but uses watches away at the exact same moment. As the flank comes through, is he going to be able to find him here? Digs right behind the bookshelf and watches the door. Knows that that could be an entry point, just like the rotation as the bullets keep on whizzing through. Is he going to be able to pick this one up, or is it going to be Gorgona that catches the clutch? He's going to be taking a lot of damage though, however. Just a singular bullet is what is keeping users between the clutch here. Gorgona, can he do it? He's low on HP, 18 seconds, he needs 7 to defuse, he needs to find a kill, but he probably will not. There's not much time left, and it will be users that gets that final one. MNM continue winning these rounds.
Well, there's that plant stat I talked about before. They saw an opportunity. And I believe that is the timeout called by Kafe. 3 losses in a row on their defense. 3 holes, and that one was the closest out of all of them because, I mean, one slight different positioning.
That's it.
That was Gorgona's round.
And Tyrant, however, just walking in there, able to pick up that very first kill. I'm not quite sure why Neo went as deep as they did. Probably were afraid of the verticality above as they had no one contesting it, and default is often open up. Wanted to go deep, but the shotgun was in that corner, and Tyrant was able to win that second gunfight. Luckily so for the side of MNM. Otherwise, that would have been the end of round there, and Kafe taking the lead. But as they have 30 seconds left in their tactical timeout, there's going to be some time for them to try and discuss and see what's going wrong and what they need to do to improve, as kitchen and service cooking is going to be brought up. And MNM, of course, bringing their trusty old lineup. Nothing really has to change.
I think that was entirely it. As you said, they went deep to try and get the position on the plant there. The catch from Snowdoor down towards the area on the far side of pillars, towards that sort of rotation into the train room and the mining room, that was, I guess, the problem that Kafe are having, is they don't have an awareness. Look at the first round. The first time we were here, suddenly we swap to a Finker that's inside freezer, and they're able to hop and go for the plant. And yeah, sure, there's work being done elsewhere that has allowed that, but you would still expect that to be locked in territory. You would still expect some presence, especially with the canisters that were being thrown over towards that direction. And I'm wondering if that's the reason we've got the Legion on the board now, if that's the thing where they're going, we're losing sight of them, we got to try and refine that.
I'm wondering if the... Well, I'm not wondering, actually. I'm going to compare it. I think these last 3 rounds we saw from Kafe on their defense could have been compared to the first 3 attacking rounds of MNM on Bank, as in just not having a general idea of where the attack seems to be coming from, or just being picked up in these sloppy ways where they just seem to lack the awareness that is picking it up. And thus hope that this tactical timeout is going to be bringing the same result as it brought MNM, who then were able to find some success. Not just some success, but the entire map as a result, as they found 3 in a row. Now, MNM is seemingly quite strong here on Kafe so far. At least their attacks seem to be going the right way. I think the IQ helps with that. They're able to take care of a lot of the information game that Kafe is trying to play. He might not really see it, but a lot of it is being pinged out, and the same will happen with the goo mines now. The goo mines will be deployed, however, the IQ is going to be telling people, hey, bakery, for example, goo mines deployed, be careful when you're walking through. Let's clear these out before we move.
Sloth, buried behind the bakery, is able to find a great first take there against Nello, caught drifting. And no one is there for the instant revenge or response. They've set themselves up with a big bolstered barricade here on the bakery side, and Sloth's going to see if he can lean into a little bit more. More drones, more time wasted, and Not one more as of yet, but you can still see a lot of intel. There's a grenade, does a little bit more. He's on half health, he can still survive here. The shield's been dropped as well. He has that rotate out, and they have a reinforcement. It's not going to be easy to put down, but it's at least an option. He's trying to play this for as long as he can. He's serving up absolutely everything from the back, mobile, moving, and, well, one's battled back. That's Coke, that's his rotation out. That's dangerous. The pickup sticks of MNM to a new location with Tyrant. Still leading in with the fervor he's been able to play throughout all of this series, and uses once again matching pace. Gorgona's gone, and although it seemed like nobody could touch Sloth for now, he's going to see if he can at least try and do something to keep the pace into the favor of Kawana. More damage, but still standing. And that's the big cost right now. The diffuser is cold, but there's so much time. And MNM, they've picked up. They've moved themselves around to a new location. Why keep butting heads against Sloth when we've been able to do so much elsewhere?
Oh, Benja is about to be spotted out right here. They now know he's fallen off to the left side of things. And that means that he is deep inside to side. It's an angle to the left that they need to hold. Sloth, however, is now the other issue. They need to find out where he is. Has he rotated back already? Is he in the side? Do we need to worry about him? That's at least one ping coming through. They know where Benja is, but he's still mobile. He's still walking around. He's still trying to rotate as another drone is about to be jumping in. They know he's right behind this window now. A breaching charge gets used. I'm not quite sure why. Neo gets his head taken off as a result. And a hipfire headshot from Benja takes down Tyrant as well. It's only up to Solotov now in a 1v2 situation. Is he going to be able to clutch this out? Benja able to pick up these two headshots has been great so far already. Needs to make sure he finds this last kill. Or Sloth, who has been able to pick up the very first one, is getting a position right now on the side of Solotov, who's just firing a couple of bullets here and there, trying to find an entry into the side. But there's 15 seconds left. Gets a ping from the goo mine, and Benja with the clutch eventually. Able to get these two headshots at the start. Absolutely key. The last one just locking it off as the crossfire was already there.
Sloth did a huge amount of work inside the bakery, and obviously everything else started to fall away from MNM, and they couldn't quite get the handle on that player, so they thought they could pick up elsewhere. The play of the breaching charge into the gap, maybe they had a bit of a misidea of where they thought Benja would be, but the way he was able to swing back around, get the punishment there from then on, obviously a hipfire headshot's a hell of a play, but still, he's a hell of a player. And that's exactly what they're able to structure. Something on the first has gone into their favor. They might still be able to pull an even half here, which, I mean, we can say it's behind the schedule of what you would expect, but at the same time, throw expectations out the window. You need something before MNM put themselves further ahead on their map.
Alrighty. Let us see how it goes on this top floor here for the side of Kawana. We do see Grizzly using the Thunderbird, so there is the opportunity to heal for the defenders now as well. Of course, a combination with a Clash, who is going to be taking these first, you know, little fights here and there. Could be receiving some grenades tossed towards him, so that is what the healing stations could be helping for. Just to get him back to full HP after the grenades are being used. Of course, goes to the other players as well. If they take some damage, just quickly hop over to a salvation station and find yourself back at full HP.
And one of the comparisons that we've sort of got to bring across from yesterday is how the players were able to perform. And Tyrant was the outstanding player on the side of MNM. He was the only one that left the previous showdown with a positive KD. Whereas at the same time, sure, there was 3 players from the side of Kawana that were able to lead in, Gorgona, Benja, and Grizzly, but so far none of them have been able to show up as that outstanding effect. They've had effects, but when a single player starts to put a pace down, sometimes you sort of need a monster to meet a monster and fight it out, and nobody can stop the tyranny of Tyrant right now, who's just able to keep swinging into these locations. He's waiting for some pressure and some presence. He's going to burn out that gate and just lean into a fight here as Benja wants to try and meet that, but can't quite get the maker. A grenade signals an exit. He's taken a bit of damage, but he's also dealt a lot too.
That's a lot of damage to it's Tyrant there, and there is still a player down below. Gorgona ready to go for a potential jump out here. But I believe there was a drone ready, just waiting at the end of the small bakery that could have been watching him. I'm not quite sure. I thought I saw the icon there. Either way, the Clash now inside the piano, looking to make an impact, looking to slow down any potential push to come in from the piano side of things. As Gorgona is looking to make a rotate, potentially back up to the top floor. No, Solotov was there, and there was indeed a drone. They knew he was there, they knew he was rotating out, and again, they just catch him off.
It's a way to get it confirmed.
It is a way to get it confirmed.
Is there a drone there? Yeah, there was a drone there. And it leads to the end of cowana, who was, if I'm going to say, an outstanding player that isn't quite hitting the mark today. That is the name that sort of pops up. And here is a place where you should expect that game that cowana played so well yesterday, if the roaming aggression to be a little bit more impactful. Sure, it's not their map, but still, it hasn't really hit that same mark. Benja, however, he's starting to heat up, warm into this game over the past couple of rounds. We saw more of a strike, so they've got to do plays like that, keep on top of him as Sloth is the one that finds that bite back damage, but they have the Thunderbird stations, and the salvation might come from them. The spray round in the corner, the pre-fire, and Grizzly backs himself into a corner. You're still looking at Anarchic on the Clash. That moving wall is going to be a bit of a problem as we find ourselves ticking closer and closer to the end of this round.
Yeah, 40 seconds left. We do have someone on the no balcony window, however, which gets opened up now. That puts Sloth in a little bit of a more precarious position here as the pre-fire does come through. It was actually opened up by his teammate there, not necessarily by himself, so that might hide his position as Sloth is just waiting to heal himself back up. Tyrant gets taken out. A grenade comes through, however, and picks him up, and now uses his on the back of them. That means that the Clash can no longer cover off just a singular angle, as that would mean he would be falling from the back of it. And a pre-fire from the freezer would at least give away the information that one is inside there. Nello goes close with a bearing 9. He's not able to pick up the kill quite yet. It is Siren that falls. It's just up to Nello now in a 1-on-2 situation, but as he finishes off the reload, it's the sistering bearing 9 on the side of Grizzly that picks up that kill and forces cowana to win yet another round, putting it up to 3-2. So that even split seems to be coming in closer and closer here as MNM is starting to lose a little bit of grasp on the side of cowana after their tactical timeout.
It could be that same response that we had from MNM's timeout on the previous map, where suddenly they were able to thread 3 rounds in a row from what was at first an impossible turned into a probable, and then beyond. Here, though, what we've seen from cowana is a little bit of a change of tact. They've made sure they're a little bit more central to the site itself. They're keeping mobile. We saw the play of Sloth, and we saw the play of Benja on the previous site, and then we saw them tethered to the Clash as Anarchic sort of shepherded the players around to pick fights at the right time. It's different to the approach that cowana had before, where they were a little bit looser. The individual players were taking up more of a space. It's like a chain chomp now. They have a certain section. They're allowed to put in a couple of big bites of vicious teeth, but at the same time, they don't stray too far away. They force MNM to slow down a little. They force MNM to be in more precarious situations, and I wouldn't say the time is the biggest break so far, but it's definitely given cowana a little bit more to work with here. They can still pull even, and that still gives them the chance of a lead, and especially with potential momentum behind them for their attacks.
Definitely so. If they manage to pull it up here and get that third round as well, that is going to be a bit of momentum that will go your way. Cameras are being tossed out yet once more, potentially to guide any jump outs from the side of cowana. The IQ still there. If they do hear it, they will definitely be hunting them out. Especially with these windows open up, they might get an ID that these cameras are located outside.
Yeah, they had the ping and the reveal of the camera there. They're just going to leave it for this moment and let the IQ find it from the top rope rather than try and risk themselves going a little bit out further. There it is. Don't even
one of them.
The scanner. There was one on that side and then one to the right itself. It looked like they had an awareness over both of them, but Benja, he seems to have an idea of what he wants to do underneath. You have to sort of keep a hold on white stairs as a backline and a ballast against any approach that might come through. The hefty waves that can roll their way from the train station. You have to make sure that you're in ready on the platform to check their tickets and send them the other way.
Sure, Grizzly currently watching one of those cameras, or at least was a second ago. Seems to be aware of him, gets one of those kills. Nello again, the first to drop a C4 comes through, but it lands just short. Otherwise, it could have been able to pick up the second kill here and making his way out, killing some drones on the way as well as the entry frag here in favor of cowana. And jump out gets punished, however. Solotov will be able to live with just a singular HP, I believe it was. Heals himself back up quickly with an adrenaline surge, but at least they're in a 4-on-4 situation now.
Usus finds Grizzly, gets a little bit of revenge, puts the body balance back into the favor of MNM. They're concerned about the players that might try and make their way out here. Sloth is the one that's currently sitting inside the far side of the top floor, waiting. As the hatches are rotate here and is sort of baiting the approach that might come across the top. This one is a pretty tricky site to do the same hole, as I said, was successful for cowana before because, well, it's 2 stories. You've got to make sure that you have that verticality. It just gives you more space to hold and then more space to take, which, to be honest, the way this pace has gone so far, plays more into the favor of MNM. They're on the back foot. Now they're a little bit further forward. And, well, can Sloth do a little bit of aggression here to try and get a little bit more revenge? He's toying with the idea.
Definitely is, but in the meantime, the cigar shop is starting to be populated as well as he runs across to his reinforced wall just for a little bit of safety. The question here is, will they be droned out? Solotov gets a C4, still lives somehow. Grenades are about to be tossed in. They spot him out and they get the kill. Users locks him off. A 2 on 4 is now on the board right here as Solotov is still quite low on HP. Grenades are being used and Benja now rotates up aggressively here on the white stairs. The Nitro comes through and picks up the very first. Benja still on the planks, is about to swing around the corner, gets the first as he tries to rotate out. Should be caught off. Yes, indeed, he will be. And that leaves it to Tyrant and Solotov now with 18 seconds and a mission to go for the plant. The question is, will they succeed?
Well, he's waiting here on the library door. They're going to see if they can swing their way through. The pings are up. There's a man. There's a double. There's an R kick.
They're lined up and he just gets them both with the SMG-11 in the same spray. Should have been a bit more spacing between the two, possibly. Not quite sure. But the lack of information on that final position is what led us to the moment where Kawana now has 3 rounds in a row as well. And we find ourselves into an actual game, into an actual map, where Kafe could be going either way. Now, MNM on the defense, however, is something to keep in mind. Are they going to be able to make the difference here? Are they going to be able to, you know, start off and break the momentum that Kawana has just been starting to build? Or is Kawana going to continue their streak on the attack themselves? They're starting to build the momentum. Are they going to be able to expand on it?
Their round is a little bit of a tougher pill to swallow, I think, for MNM, but you've also got to look at 2 of those Kawana ones. There was the one down in the kitchen where they got into a lead, they lost it, it looked like things were going against them, and then they pulled it out. A 1 versus 2 clutch by Anarchic as that final back line. As we sort of cited yesterday, he is quite often the final player. He's playing these support roles, he's locked in on the site, but it gives him these moments. He's able to step in, and that is probably one of the most important ones. Gets the even swing, gets that momentum, carries them over to the second half, and MNM, you're able to take bank, you're able to take Kavana's first pick. This is yours, and it's a slightly different weight to it, but nothing is heavier than the pressure of a 2-0 ready to be done to your opponents.
That's it. If you do manage to get this map, if you do manage to turn it around now after Kawana are starting to build up the momentum, you find yourselves in a 2-0 situation where there's only 1 map left to be won by you before you can book your tickets to Sweden for the Six Invitational. Of course, they still need to get there. Kawana right now are starting to fight back on bank here, right now. And if they continue to do so, as Solotov does go down, it's the very first entry on the side of Kawana. If they manage to go for the confirm, however. Was that a blind bang through the window?
Sometimes it happens. But they didn't quite get the full net there. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a player just get capped from the situation. I think we might have even seen it happen to Solotov this weekend, just heading past the window and being caught out. Sometimes those dots connect at Siege. It takes 1 bullet in the right place to end somebody's life.
Vulcan Shield, I believe, just got destroyed on the side of Pixel there, and another Gun 6 was being pulled out just in case it was necessary. Not the case, of course, not yet. And Benja taking the piano right here, has the hatch control, and is looking like they might be able to use it. But first, they need to find that top floor control. That drone will at least confirm that someone was in the DBNO state after the big trail of blood had been followed into the bathroom where it got washed off by a sink there. It is MNM still on 5 men. That is the most important part.
Well, they're prepped to see if they can hold on to Lumber, but obviously with Solotov's wounds, it means he's going to be a lot more susceptible to shrapnel damage. It just takes the side of a grenade to be his end, and you assume it's going to be a hefty presence sooner rather than later, especially towards the backside of the white stairs. They've been able to take some of this pressure, burn more ADSs, and here it comes. If he's close, he will end, but he has pulled himself further and further away as they steadily flood over the top. Kavana's been able to get all of the control that they've wanted so far. There's only really been close to 1 kill, and to be honest, I don't think they even expected it.
Kafe plays Nitro, Cell put up, Nello will be taking the first couple of bullets there and will be taken out. Benja finds one before the return comes in and uses as well with the shotgun. That brings it back to a 3-on-3. Suddenly it's starting to look a little bit more dicey for the side of Kawana, as there's still 3 players left, and Tyrant on the flank as well, where it can shut you down if you're hopping up towards the pillar side of things. He is on those brown stairs. He is waiting patiently there as Grizzly's making his way over to the hatch to potentially scout out for a dining plant.
They're worried about the rotation up, but now they've just got to be worried about putting themselves down. The diffuser needs to be put, and there it is. The spray from above, and Arctic is all that's left, and suddenly he's heavily isolated. A fantastic rotate comes through, pays dividends, and they're waiting for the clock to time out before they can go for the swing. A handful of seconds. Where's your man? He's in the corner, and he's gotten rid of the plant. Doesn't come to the success, but the success story there uses Tyrant. Once again, 2 names, MNM. They are lit up by.
Definitely so. Users, of course, taking the top floor again after he heard the hatch drop. He's like, all right, I'm going to hunt this man down and make sure he's not going to be too much of an issue. And Tyrant as well playing from those brown stairs and the pillars, able to shut down any potential push from there on. And MNM now find themselves in the lead yet once more after they had a 3-0 be equalized by Kawana. And now they will look to try and find another one, just to make sure that they increase the gap that is between them and Kawana, the team that beat them to EUL last year, and the team they have joined this year. It is a year later, plus 8 days, and completely different stakes for this matchup, but MNM wants to be the one ending on top this time around. Anyway, up to the top floor we do go, and all the stakes aside, it is map 2 currently underway. MNM has won the first and is now in the lead yet once again after they have briefly lost it. After they lost 3 rounds in a row. And they're looking to continue that. This is their map pick. If they manage to take this one, then, well, they are definitely putting up some good pressure onto the side of Kawana. But you have to worry, because at some point fatigue will be playing a role, you would dare to say, because this is their 5th map they're playing in a row with only 20 minutes in between.
It's a long day of Siege. There's no 2 ways about that. It is the stress of being the lower bracket team. Obviously, the pick ban advantage did go through on the maps to the top, but it's also the other major factor is how much you can sort of push and press yourself, especially if the games are going to be these ones that turn into long slogs. The previous almost a maximum regulation difficulty, including OT. It was 1 round short of OT. This one is still neck and neck. Technically, MNM have only just sort of turned onto the half and the side and picked the first, so you could still see more of a drive, but still, it was 3 rounds and then 3 back to Kawana.
Well, of course, MNM carrying a lot of momentum from their EUL qualification, looking to turn it into a Six Invitational presence as well. Starting out here, playing right behind the piano. Knows one is up on the rappel, is trying to go aggressive right here, spots an elbow, but cannot quite connect the shots. Castle Barricades will be blocking off any of the further angles as he drops down into the train museum, finds another person down in the dining room as they both wanted to go through the fireplace, but as they exchange positions, it is MNM still with all 5 alive, just turning up with a bit of a scare for the players inside the piano area. But the Castle Barricades stay close for now. Nello will be allowed and will be able to continue to play close from here, due to the fact that there is, of course, a serial laser gate on the other side of the Castle Barricade. They need to use 2 pieces of utility to get rid of it.
A little bit of a silence here, and they have an awareness of some approach. Drops the drone.
He called out as well, like dropped the ADS, unfortunately. Wasn't the way the hitbox was. Now Nello trying to get in a better position.
That's it. It puts Nello in a very tricky position. And so far, Nello hasn't quite been able to get into the gunfire of this game so far. And there is no place that's more dangerous than the little cigar shop he's sort of hurried away in. Solotov has some stretch and extension there under red. He's waiting for an approach to come round, but otherwise it's more of a gunfight. There it is. There's one, doesn't get it, gets out of there. He knows he's going to be losing that fight, so Tyrant steps up on the far side and Sloth takes over. Cigar shop has fallen, at least in terms of body count, but Users making sure that that actually stays a little bit into the favor of MNM instead. They still have the cross angles that come from the bathroom. They're waiting for Sloth to swing round on that whiskey window, and he's peppering a shield, but Tyrant is safe at home behind it.
Yeah, it takes out a drone as well, and now it could be popping up on either Pixel or on the shield itself. There's no guarantee that it will be safe, as Gorgona still on the skylight is looking to support a potential plan that could be coming down soon. The jump in comes, however, and they want to go for some of these frags here. 25 seconds, Solotov drops. Gorgona is coming in close and gets the very first kill, but doesn't know there's a second one still around there. Actually, no, that has been taken out by his teammate already before, and as they're trying to dig in deep, they want to go for a plan, but the diffuser gets dropped on a rotation. His users drops himself as well through the hatch. It's only up to Gorgona now with 12 seconds left. Is he going to be able to get the plan down? That's the big question here.
He has no other option at this point. He only has a handful of seconds. He's going to hope the spray comes through, popped up, waits for the man and the animation to be done. And there it is. Takes the fight, takes the kill. Tyrant played that pace for pace perfectly. Oh, if you're an MNM fan or player, aren't you so happy to have Tyrant and Users on your team?
Yeah, for sure. The second situation now where they are found in the 2vx situation. They were in that case, and you know, as Users jumped up on the barricade, on the bar right there, just waiting for the head to pop back up for a guaranteed kill, you could almost argue. It was, of course, Tyrant that went for the aggressive gunfight to force him to stand up in that way. They still took it together. And now MNM, 5-on-3, starting to push towards another map point here, just a singular one away. And they're going back towards the bottom floor, not the basement, because this site doesn't have a basement.
I was going to say, what do you know?
I was going to say, is bottom floor, it still both starts to be, but it always still confuses me, by the way. 1F. It just keeps happening.
Yeah, well, it's a game made by North.
Yeah, of course, but it's like, it keeps on...
No, I try and habitually say like ground floor or top floor.
Yeah.
Because
and
those
middle.
are universals. But if I start saying ground floor, first floor, second floor,
that's when it gets confusing.
I'll confuse a lot of NA viewers out there who are wrong.
Okay, let's turn this into a discussion.
Canadians who made this game, you're wrong. This is the ground floor. This is the first floor, not the second floor. And that's the second.
Even here in Germany, we don't use it. I mean, in the elevator.
All of Europe.
All of Europe. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, everywhere we go, this just doesn't...
I hope we've started an argument in Twitch chat. I hope we started a fight. Hey, these are the EU finals. You want those kind of sympathies? Head over to the NA team.
They'll understand.
They'll understand.
We will not.
We just don't care.
Zero tolerance.
The cams out wide, and we've seen Valkyrie able to strike pretty well on the previous approach. And wow, there's all of them. If you wanted to feast for your eyes, Valkyrie, you have been gifted it here. There's nobody that needs to intently lean into this, but that is intel that will come in hot and heavy later. They're just going to keep an awareness, drop the drone, have themselves stacked up with some positional, and they obviously have users playing in a position that's slotted so well. He was almost the first removed this time around.
Still watching the camera there. He's of course close to support, but he's trying to give away the information here. Like, hey, there's one close on the angle. You can toss that C4 out, potentially pick up a kill. Oh no, actually, just lands sharp, and Nello gets one with the nitro cell as one digs in close right behind that small bakery window. Ghost Brown with that shotgun, of course, knowing that if they jump in, he has the upper hand.
I mean, at this point now where you assume that camera's still up, and that's an instant read to Nello to just press the trigger as soon as someone comes around. If someone's watching it, it is still up. It is still passing all this information. Nello's able to move away. Users is able to get one more. Users with a double kill puts suddenly everything on Gorgona. The only player left on the board is looking to at least try and piece some takeaway here from the remaining players, but a flawless is on the board, and, well, we're going into the Rapports or rehost as we have an unfortunate issue. We'll be back.
Unfortunate issue indeed. We will European League when they made it to the Six Invitational. So the traditions are with MNM at this point.
Traditions.
And the votes were as well, as I believe it was a 24% MNM was the second place right after Vitality.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, in the CGG polls. Kawana came in at third.
Yeah, and the fact that I mean, it was like 56%. To Vitality.
Yeah, that didn't work out that well for fans.
No, it did the opposite. Unfortunately for people that voted.
It's the caster curse, but now the people curse in that case.
And here, I guess, you know, so we've had a chance for Kawana to have a bit of a team talk. Even if this map goes away from them, there's obviously still 3 potential maps ahead of them. But I guess if they want to have a chance of success, if this goes away from them, that's 3. There has to be 3 maps ahead of them. There has to be a full play and 3 further experiences. And I guess it becomes this question of, as I still think that MNM, they've been sort of hitting a heavier pace. They've been hitting the ground running. They seem a little bit tighter than what Kavana's putting down, and I'm wondering if we're going to see a sort of step up here from Kavana, or if this is the sort of punishment that's coming through.
That's going to be the big question here, is Sloth conserving some ammo there, opening up the barricade. Didn't want to use much more than he had to. Of course, the ARX is 21 bullets. It takes 16 or something to open up a barricade in the right place, so sometimes you need to reload, which halts you on the further entry. Either way, starts to move through. Sloth on the entry here to spearhead the attack. Tyrant, however, is ready. It picks him up as well as the entry, as he confirms in on the second try. And MNM, they're off to a great start here on potentially the final round here of Kafe, where they're looking to settle a 2-0 score for now.
It was just a little bit easy there, and it's sort of reminiscent of the way that we saw Kavana open up on their defenses versus MNM on the past map, and here it's sort of striking entirely on the other hand, but at the worst possible time. A very easy pickup, and I said that entrant trade is going to be one of the big factors so far, and so is Tyrant, who's just continuing the play that he's been able to pull off this weekend. Steady approach towards the trains and the many hefty bits of machinery inside, as they're going to see if they can sliver towards Nello, who might be the next bout of pressure, but he doesn't have to stick there so fervently for now. He has some extension, some chance, and he's going to utilize it. Heads back and further away as it starts to clear on the hatch above him.
The top floor slowly starting to being taken here by the side of Kavana, but MNM know it as well. They have that man advantage. They do not actively need to challenge Piano. Benja, however, picks up Nello as the Valkyrie gone and will now be watching the cams as a designated duty here, with still 2 players up on that top floor. Try and support as much as you can as the drones start rolling in, and Solotov and Neo trying their best to hold up to whatever they have on the top floor.
The grenade over the top here towards that player just gets caught out by the ADS tucked inside the corner. Sledge is still going to try and do some renovations here and see if they can catch off the rotate on the far side. They're able to catch a couple of kills last time they were here from the top. And Solotov swings round, catches Benja, who is suffering some of the effects of the explosions popping off around him. Neo's moved into a slightly new residence on the tucked-in close corners. The pings are coming through, but he's waiting for some more cover and support. The flash, the drop, get out of there, and Solotov pulls himself a bit further back towards Lumber. They don't need to overextend this. They can wait and bait a little bit more time out as the swing comes. There's one more.
Diffuser.
The diffuser is now cold, sitting around heaven. There's a handful of seconds. Solotov's still above. One more. For Solotov finds himself a triple, and suddenly Grizzly's in the sight, but with nothing else for his name. It's MNM's game, and they are 1 map away from 5 sets of clogs and a plane ticket to Sweden.
There we have it. It is going to be 2-0 here for MNM. After the Rios, they instantly finish it off, not giving a single opportunity to Kavana to rebuild any momentum up for map number 3. MNM is here, and they're here to win this best of 5 and book their tickets to Sweden. The question, of course, will